Welcome to Cine Bijou, where we delve into the diverse creative world of independent film with your host, Ramon Wrights.
Hello everyone, so glad you tuned in. Every fortnight through feature explorations and insightfully fun interviews, we'll make Cine Bijou your destination for discovering hidden gems and supporting the voices of indie films that deserve to be heard. So grab your popcorn and settle into your seats as we shine a spotlight on emerging filmmakers, thought-provoking narratives, and groundbreaking techniques that redefine the art of storytelling. Many creators of action cinema, whether they're behind the camera or in front of it, are a part of their industry. However, some are the creators of it. Iranian Finnish filmmaker Ramin Sohrab is Iran's action film industry and one of the few, if not only, makers of Iranian action cinema. Inspired by his training in Shaolin Kung Fu under his Sifu and father, and having been raised on a cinematic diet of Hong Kong action films, in particular Jackie Chan, Ramin chose to pursue a career as an action star. After cutting his teeth on a number of successful short films, Ramin undertook the daring task of co-writing, producing, directing, choreographing, and starring in his first feature film. Oh, let's not forget, Ramin does all of his own stunts in the film, including the breathtaking fire stunt at the beginning. Layer of Lies, then, is the story of Iranian fireman Sam, who returns to Iran after many years in exile in Finland to finally put his past to rest. However, his past has other plans, as a shady figure kidnaps his wife Emma and drags them both into a violent scheme for revenge. But Sam is a relentless fighting machine who will stop at nothing to rescue the woman he loves. The film has all the marks of great action cinema, combining the best of East and West action entertainment, from nail-biting car chases to high-octane fight action. But the real fight takes place behind the scenes, as Ramin faced difficulties securing locations for filming in Iran and then getting his much-anticipated Iranian cinema release. So strap in for a thrilling ride as we talk to Ramin about his influences and the trials and tribulations of making the first real Iranian action film. Interestingly, actually, I revisited the Q&A that you did in Birmingham for Fighting Spirit, and I remember what you were saying about your father being quite well known as a Shaolin Kung Fu teacher, and you were doing demonstrations. I think people actually forget that Iran is a big hub for martial arts, and not just practice, because the wushu teams, the taekwondo teams always get medals. I think, in fact, it was an Iranian who got the gold medal in karate at the Olympics, I think.
Absolutely. Karate, taekwondo, wrestling. Wrestling has been a big part of Iranian culture.
Oh, for thousands of years, because you've got the traditional wrestling with the equipment, the arena, all the traditional calisthenics, but also it's the home of the style of karate I learned while I was there, which was Kanzen Ryu. And I forget the name of the sensei who taught it, but he was the founder who was my sensei. Oh, wow. So I think people forget that actually, it's a big center for martial arts development and contestants. So,
but isn't it weird that no action films, although so much martial artists, so much like people
I really want to delve into that because there's some parallels that I'll bring up where I think there should be more action martial arts coming from Iran, given what we've just pointed out. I mean, India has lots of action martial arts from the home of Kalari Payatu, and you've got Tiger Shroff as one of the big stars. And then, of course, you've got Southeast Asia. You've got Iko Uwais and Arif Rahman, all those stars coming out. Wyatt, I think you are the action industry, aren't you? I'm going to start with that question, actually. So with your film Layer of Lies, it's an Iranian, mostly Iranian set martial arts action film, possibly the first to be made in Iran, if you like. First off, what I'm trying to understand, because I've been away for so long, is what is the Iranian cinema scene at the moment? What kind of films tend to come out? What kind of films tend to get made, and how are they geared towards the audiences in Iran?
Well, basically, I would say at the moment, Iran is very focused on doing drama or comedy. And there's a reason for those two to happen. So basically, we have the people who are trying really hard to get to film festivals outside Iran, like these major film festivals like Cannes, Venice, and whatnot. And the main idea is to get those, how would I say, like realistic drama, very deep, very sad, very like kind of a realistic type of films out there. That's one big major industry in Iran right now. And because of filmmakers like Ashar Farhadi, who made Separation and Salesman and a lot of films that ended up actually going all the way to Oscars. So now a lot of Iranian filmmakers are trying to capture that. So they are trying to make films that go to these big film festivals, but I don't see that doing anything to Iranian cinema per se. They are personally helping these filmmakers to advance their skills and productions to bigger films, hopefully. But that's one of the big industry kind of a standards, making drama films that are usually either like do something with drugs or something with prostitution, something like with trauma, or something that is very like how you say, based on true story. That's one aspect of it. Then we have another aspect, which I would say the money making aspect, is comedy films, silly comedy films that the plots usually don't make sense, but for the audience just to go there and just for a couple of hours laugh. I think that's a new trend, the comedy industry in Iran. And what's happening right now, which is the films that really are selling well, is that they are right at the red line, I would say. They are making jokes about the government that is not quite crossing it, but people will get it, that they are actually making fun of the current government. And the government either looks away or they don't care. But those films are doing very well in the cinemas. And that's where we go to the part where I am really trying to connect the comedy and action and martial art together. So imagine having something like Rush Hour made in Iran with a foreign actor, American, British, or any European actor, goes to Iran and has to work with the Iranian who doesn't know martial art, who just knows how to talk his way out of situations. And when you combine these two elements, I think there could be a new genre that I could actually like. I would be the first one who would do it. So we are really working on that. But those are the two main kind of a genres that Iran is working now and Iranian cinema is working. And as you said before, yes, I think I'm the face of action films in Iran at the moment. And but I can say it was not an easy task. And the like answering the question why there hasn't been martial art or action films in Iran is because is just so hard. They just don't see it. And when you're dealing with people who just believe their own belief system and don't see beyond their belief system, then it will become near impossible to convince them that, hey, I can actually pull this off and I can make the first international action movie shot in Iran. But until you do it, nobody's going to come and go, yeah, you do it. We believe in you. It's going to be hard. So it needs a lot of mental health
Mm-hmm.
to go against that, to go against Iranian film industry that has been there for over 100 years.
No, I see what you mean. Because I was thinking about the breakout film from Iran that came out that was actually a horror film. I think it was A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yes.
This was written, directed by Anna Lilia Amirpour. I
Mm,
think that was the one breakout film. But it's interesting what you said about how when you're trying to sell the idea of an Iranian action film that could be big on the global scene, that uh, there's some sort of blindness. They're wearing blinkers. They can't see that this is a thing. But I think that's true of the industry as a whole. You see it in Hollywood a lot. They've been telling them for years,
mm,
um, you need an Asian action hero, and they said no, 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 no. Audiences won't go to watch a film like that. Along comes Bruce Lee. Next thing you know, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Michelle Yeoh are all now big hits in Hollywood. And then for ages, it was, with the exception of Omar Sharif, Middle Eastern, Arabic, um, North African lead actors. No, 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 that's not for the audience taste. But now you've got more of them in mainstream cinema. So I think that sort of tunnel vision, if you like, I think is quite a global thing. But I get what you mean. So now I remember from the Q&A at Fighting Spirit in April, just after the screening of your film,
yeah.
you mentioned some difficulties in getting getting the filming approved in Iran. I think there were one of the challenges. I think was your character of Sam Kashani
Mm,
is married to a woman from Finland. So I
yeah.
think having a non-Iranian woman having a prominent role like she did was
Yeah.
one challenge. But I think, like you said, there was the challenge of selling an action film and getting services like the fire brigade on board. So I was hoping we could share some of those stories. So when you came up with the idea for Layer of Lies, how did you go about approaching when you needed to film in Iran? How did you go about approaching the authorities to get that permission?
So it was a constant battle of trying to figure out where is the line, what can I do and what I can't do. As you were talking about like industry overall outside of Iran, yes, primarily you are trying to figure out what does your audience want. But Iran actually adds one more layer. You cannot go to the audience before you go and face the government, face the film committee, and all of that. So first, I needed to figure out what can and I can't do. So in terms of like in early versions of screenplay, we had like over 20 versions of screenplay, and basically the idea was that of course I wanted more depth into the film, and I wanted corrupt cops, and I wanted like mafia, and I wanted to make it big. I wanted to make it Hollywood movie, although I didn't have the budget. But it was just no after no and after no, because they didn't know who am I. They haven't saw anything from me, or I was not even living in Iran. So for them, I understand the fear. The fear was that this guy comes, shoots something, leaves Iran, and what then? But at least if they have filmmakers that are in Iran, they can control some not what he's gonna do and which direction he's gonna take his film. But for me, it was just challenge of finding out the red line. Do not cross that. And also it helped a lot that there was enough time for us to develop the film, because as we were developing the film, every 4 years the a lot of the committee members they change. So every 4 years we had a new chance of maybe this committee is more open-minded, so we can have a blonde actress in the film, we can have a European actress. And it changed. First it was Iranian actors, then it changed to like a Finnish actress, and then what was amazing that we could shoot Finland scenes without the scarf. That was amazing. The first time we start shooting it, she was supposed to still have scarf on, which was like, I was that's crazy. We're in Finland. Why does she need the scarf? So the whole scarf thing took us 6 months to handle. So every detail, every problem in the script meant we had to go back and forth, back and forth. And unfortunately, Iran operates in many senses very old school, which means You have to physically do a form, write a letter, like actual letter. You write the letter, not email, not text messages or anything like that. You write them like a very professional handwritten or a computer written like a letter, and then they respond to the letter. They cannot even tell you on the phone. Like I call them and I say, hey, can we do this? They're like, send us a letter. And then you go, dear committee, we want to do this and this. Can we do that and this? So in a way, it just added a lot of layers to get the film made, and a lot of the information you got, it just wasn't true. It was lies. Hence, layers of lies. I don't think it was the name of the movie. I think it was the name of the process of making movies. Here I was just a kid from Finland, moved to America, studied acting and filmmaking, and had a dream of one day going back to my homeland and making this film with my new homeland, Finland. But people just kept lying and lying, and this rule and that rule and this rule, until you just didn't give up, because at some point it turned from dream to obsession. Like I say, if I don't make this action film, there might be never another action movie in Iran. So I need to push it through. And by the time we were at the like end road filming this, I realized I'm too far to quit. I've gone too far. We've managed so many challenges that I don't think me quitting right now would benefit anybody. So it was just matter of trying to figure out what they want and what I want. And which was funny because the film went to the Iranian Film Festival, Faj, which they said so many things about the script. And to be honest, I just wanted to hold a mirror and say, this, whatever you guys are saying, is what you guys are getting, because that's how filmmaking operates in Iran. And it's so difficult to make it. And especially when you're trying to introduce new genre into the cinema. It's not an easy task. It needs a lot of mental health. It needs a lot of support from outside source, but I would say more from inside source. So really going inside, questioning yourself, trying to figure out, is it worth it? Why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? And what is your end result? Like, what do you want out of this? So yeah, it was a long process, but I would say, like, just making films in Iran, it adds a new layer of the just everything being so damn hard. It's so hard to make. And to be honest, it's easy. It's easy. You can just by phone do something or email and get things done, and they could support us. But it's just so complicated. And I feel it's complicated because even they don't know what they want. I think that's the complication.
Well, you've managed to pull it off. And I know that aside from the bureaucracy challenges that you've faced over the years, there was also COVID had an impact as well. Obviously, it impacted for the industry as a whole, but I know it impacted your film. But you got it made. The budget was something like $500,000, 500 million. No, $500. Let me start again. Was
I think
$500,000. Yeah, I got there.
Actually, it was way less than that, but yeah,
way less than 500,000. Wow.
Mm.
So you managed to, with 500,000, you managed to do fights in the streets, fights in a very lavish nightclub, a building site, and then of course there is the thing that really did impress me, and I think I mentioned this to you at the Q&A, the fire scene at the beginning, which I likened to some of the fire stunts that you would see in Backdraft, the movie. I don't know if you've ever seen Backdraft with Kurt Russell.
Yes.
So I thought the quality of that particular stunt, that scene, was on a par with what you would see in Backdraft. It really did stand out, and yet you pulled that off with no funding whatsoever, if I recall.
Yeah, the whole fire scene was zero budget.
So, without giving too much away, the film does open with a big fire scene because Sam Kashani is a fireman who just to sort of recap the story for some people who, after the outcome of this particular uh, tragedy, leaves Iran for Finland, builds a new life, and then decides to come back to settle some affairs. And it starts off with this fire. So tell me about how you managed to, with little or no money, actually pull together one of the best fire stunt scenes to be put on film.
So the whole idea is here. If and this is my technique, might not work for others, but for me it worked very well in Iran. Usually when people want something from other people, they always think of what I need, what I want, what is my end game. But if you put yourself in the other person's shoe and see what they want, what is it that makes them excited what you're doing? And in my case, I was supposed to shoot all that fire scene in 3 days. So we shot over 10, 15 minutes of fire scenes in 3 days. And before those 3 days, I asked the fire department, chief of fire department, that I would need some cars and some clothes and some like actors if possible. And of course they said no, because right about a year before our film, there was another firefighting film that was made in Iran about the true event that happened, which didn't go so well. And they didn't, the fire department people, they didn't like that. They said they didn't show us good in that film, and they were disappointed, which I'm not going to go more depth on that. But I told him, can I borrow one truck and two uniforms? Just give me a day to showcase what I'm trying to do. So he gave me that, and then we shot for one day. So the driving scenes and inside the car and some like that. And then before I showed the clip to him, I asked him, like, do you have kids? And he said, yeah, I have a boy and a girl, aged like, I think they were like 13, 15, something like that. And I said, like, give me the opportunity to show your kids what kind of a hero you are, what you guys do in a right way. And don't let me say it to you. Let me show it to you. You gave me one truck and two uniforms. So I showed him like a couple of minutes of the clip, and he was sold. He saw the clip as his kids would see the film, and who wouldn't want to be a proud dad? So it was me finding what does click with him, what does he want, what does matter for him. So when I showed that clip, he was so excited. He knew what I'm trying to do. So, and it was based on me talking, it was based me showing and feeling his energy, what he wants. So then after that, he was one of my best friends. He gave me an apartment. He said, like, you can put it on fire. You can have as many trucks as you want, as many people as you want. So we got all of that based on me figuring out what somebody else wants and not what I want. Everybody in Tehran knew I'm doing an action film, but I wanted to know that the film they were looking forward last year to go with his kids to watch, they didn't show firefighters. And you saw the film, you saw how heroic it was. And that was what I wanted to showcase to him. So fortunately he saw it and he liked it, and could see with his kid inside and seeing that film. So yeah.
And you did your own fire stunt, didn't you? You actually did that stunt where you go into the burning blaze.
Mm.
Um, I suppose having the fire crews there doing all that, providing the equipment, sort of gave you a bit more confidence. But what preparations did you have to make before performing that stunt? Presumably you were wearing fireproof clothing, gel. What sort of preparations were put in place so that you could pull the stunt off and come out relatively unscathed?
Well, I did a lot of breathing work. I did a lot of meditation before, and I kind of before the scenes, because it was so dark inside and it was full of smoke and it was very hot. Basically, I was visualizing inside. So on the daytime, I actually went inside the building and I walked around, just trying to map it out. Like a lot of F1 drivers, like they can imagine driving in the seat and going every
Mhm.
like turn. And so basically I got confidence that I know the space enough well. If something goes wrong, I
Mhm.
can get myself out of there. And of course I felt very safe because all the firefighters were there. So
Mhm.
something would happen, then they would come in. But it was one of the toughest shooting days for me, because not only I was doing the stunts, acting, directing, and managing the whole production. But I was okay with all of that because that gave me a confidence that I am in control. I know what needs to be done. I know what needs to be shot. And I wasn't relying on anybody else, on an outside source. So in a way, it worked out pretty well.
It certainly did, and for anybody who gets to see the film in the UK, uh, the results really do speak for themselves. It's a very, very high quality scene, and I think on the big screen, the tension really does jump out at you, and then it pulls you in, holds your attention, and doesn't let go. So, uh, now, for those who haven't seen the film, as I've said, it's the story of Sam Kashani, who, after that particular incident, goes to Finland. Um, so there's elements of your life that are in this film. Obviously, not not the kidnapping of your, or I hope not the kidnapping of your wife, anyway. But certainly, obviously, your love of Iran and your passion for the country, but also going back to Finland, where you did live for a time. So, how much of this film have you drawn from your own feelings, your any experiences? How much of that have you put into this picture then?
Yes, there's a lot of my own experiences and feelings in the film, but again, because there's so many aspects around making a film in Iran, that although I wanted to be more deep, I wanted the story to be more deep, I wanted to have more kind of a depth, but because it's very different to making a low budget to no budget film, where suddenly everything can change within a day, everything can change. And because of that, I just had to be open to any type of changes or possible even possibilities. So I just tried to keep it as close to my experiences so I can give acting wise as much as I can, because of course with directing, I kind of know what I want in general. And my whole idea was exactly what you kind of said in the beginning of interview, where you said that the fire scene looked like this movie here, which that movie is a Hollywood movie, which is a movie that it was my childhood dream to create something that somebody say, oh, it looked like that, which in a way, that was my whole plan, to make a film that do not look like a low budget film and shows the potential. Like that's what that was my end game. The plan was to showcase something that hopefully a producer can see a potential, say like, okay, if this guy did this with that, what if he has this and that? So that was the whole idea. And I think Lee did a nice article in Film Combat Syndicate about that this could be my calling card. This could be that somebody figures out that, okay, so he knows the structure of action. He knows the structure of uh, creating tense scene, creating great action scenes, and he did all of that in a country where they monitor so closely what are you doing and what you're not doing. And with your family backgrounds, you know how strict they are sometimes. Here, if you want, take a camera, go shoot something, nobody cares. And that might become something that You shoot it for $10,000 and it sells $100 million. Nobody cares. But in Iran, it's just it was a challenge, but at the same time, it was something that I had to do in order to take the next step in my career. And for me to create a character that is very close to my own life, living in Finland, I know Finland. I lived my whole life there. I know the culture there. I know what to show from Finland within like few minutes to give the grand idea. I was born in Iran, so I know glimpses here and there. I ask people what they want to see and combining those. So it was, I think it was a creation that God created while we were creating it, if it makes sense. So it wasn't something like usually here you have a script, you have pitch
Mhm.
deck, you have everybody attached, you have money on escrow, you have everything done.
Mhm.
Now we go to the pre-production, now we go to the shooting and editing. For me, it was constantly living with the project, living with every type of obstacle or possibilities that came my way every day, and I changed it accordingly
Mhm.
because I was the head person to manage all that. But imagine if I had cast somebody else. We shot and reshot and stopped like 4 or 5 times. The first time we shot in Finland, but the money didn't came through. We stopped. Then we went to Iran. Money didn't come through. I had to figure out how to get money to Iran. We stopped. Then the COVID happened. We stopped. Then the actors changed. We had to stop because even the actress in the movie wasn't Jessica in the beginning, it was somebody else. We shot half of the movie, we had to reshoot. So there was so much thing going. The anchor was Sam. Nobody could change Sam because I was Sam. And that was the best decision I made for this film because if it would be somebody else, I don't think this movie would ever be made because of the challenges we had.
And I think also because you have so many roles in its production, you're the director, you're the action choreographer, stunt man, fighter, star. I mean, the list goes on. I think because you're so heavily invested in it, as you said earlier, you know, it's difficult to quit at that stage. You have to just persevere through the challenges. I think one of the things that comes across really well in the film, well, there's so many things, but there's one thing that does come across is with Sam, you've got quite a complex character. He's dealing with a lot of demons and he's trying to move past them with the new life that he's built. But there's a certain exasperation that's brought on by the circumstances that he finds himself in, the kidnapping of his wife, for
Mm.
example, and then getting to the root of that. In trying to get this production and facing the challenges, did you call on any of the sort of frustrations and sort of tense anticipations into your performance?
Oh yeah, I got fight with the SWAT team, Iranian SWAT team, like actual SWAT team. I got in
Oh
a fight.
goodness.
I got in a fight with like so many, like I just had to protect my vision. But the more they challenge me, the more I put it in the film.
Mhm.
Like that fight scene in the alley, I was having COVID and I didn't know, and I fought the whole fight. I just fought it through. And by the end of it, we figure out we went to hospital and they say, yeah, you need to stop immediately. And they took me to the room and I was there for 2 weeks. So yeah, I just fought it back. And I
Mhm.
think it's just I think for me and Sam or whatever was happening in the film, they kept throwing me challenges. Life kept throwing me challenges, and I kept fighting them through. And
Mhm.
that's why I feel good. I
Mhm.
don't like in a way I'm not anymore dependent on a film to feel good. You know, some
Mhm.
film they make the film, and if the film does good, they do
Mhm.
good.
Mhm.
I don't have that anymore. And I have these challenges to thank for because if
Mhm.
I went through all of those challenges for a decade, for 10 years, and I'm still here, still smiling, still
Mhm.
hiking, still looking forward to create new projects in Middle
Mhm.
East and here, then I don't care what happened to layers or whatnot. I'm just happy that despite all of that,
Mhm.
still here. And I think that's the martial art mentality, you know? You
I
fight
think,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. You face it head on, you pick yourself up, and you just keep going through, whether it's in the training, whether it's in your grading, kumite. things like that. Uh,
Sure.
so let's talk about the action then, because anybody who is an action film aficionado, whether it's a journalist or a fan, or whether you're in the business yourself, will instantly recognize the influences. I mean, just that first, because I think the first proper fight we see is the alley fight, if I remember rightly. That's the one we've been sort of waiting for. The story plays out, and then it comes to that moment of anticipation, and we see you in action. Um, it's obvious where the inspiration is drawn. I noticed some Jeet Kune Do in there as well, but you draw a lot on Hong Kong action films, don't you? Particularly Jackie Chan and Donnie Yen. Uh, is that deliberate? Do you have you sourced the action and how it looks and feels from the Hong Kong, from the sort of Chinese action scene?
Absolutely. So basically, what we try to do, and by we, I say me, what I tried to do was try to create different type of fight scenes
Mhm,
just because, just in case, if this is my only card that I can show to people,
mhm,
I give them as much as I can for them to kind of vision me doing different type of action. So we had the nightclub scene, which kind of resembles a little bit John Wick. We had the alley fight. We had the fight in the pit, which was a lot of Jeet Kune Do. And we tried different styles, but I would say yes, Hong Kong would be the big influencer. That's why I'm very excited to getting this action comedy going because
mhm,
I I think we need more that Jackie Chan style
mhm,
fun using the environment and like getting those in, you know.
mhm. Well, it's interesting because recently I recorded a podcast which was a special tribute to Corey Yuen, who we learned passed away. As you know, he did Yes Madam with Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock, and he's worked with Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung. He did the
Yes.
transport, so you're familiar with his work. One of the topics of discussion was his legacy
Mm.
and how that would be carried forward by the next generation. And you seem to sort of captured in that. I saw a lot of stunts and fight moments, especially on the building site scene. Some of that reminded me of Project A, Jackie
Yes.
Chan's Project A, and especially the use of the chain, the falls, and the fact that we see you falling on great heights on hard ground. No mats that we could see, no mats, no wires. It was just one drop and bang on the floor. So, um, are you trying to sort of build your own legacy or drawing on legacy of others to formulate an action that is uniquely Iranian?
Absolutely. So that's my point. So Layers of Lies for me was to just showcase how broad my action could go. Then, depending on a project that comes to my way, uh, I am definitely in it to create a style that is unique to me, unique to my style, and as soon as you hear my name in an action film, you know you will get quality action depending on the genre that is within that project. So definitely, I think I have a lot to offer into the action martial arts genre, but I need the platform. So at the moment, I am creating my own platform, but I hope in the future I could have producers seeing my potential, having a script for me where I could come in and say, listen, we can do something very special here with the action scene. Let's try it out. And that way, the more I do it, the more I'm going to get that signature style for myself. But definitely, I think all the action filmmakers that's their dream or goal to create something unique, because as
Mhm,
soon as I say Scott acting, you immediately go to some type of action. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Bruce Lee.
mhm.
So I would love to be among those names in the future that you know exactly what you're gonna get when you tune in to watch Ramin Sohrab film.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I just want to pick on a couple more fascinating aspects about your film before we go on to how it was received in Iran. First off, as someone who lived in Iran I mean, 40 years ago now. It's a long time ago. For me, it was like coming back home. Obviously, for those who've never been to Iran and probably only know about it either through reading, watching
Mm.
some documentaries. There's some very good English documentaries about Iran, actually. Um, and obviously, the news. It formulates an opinion or an image of what Iran is like and what Tehran is like in
Mm.
particular. But you seem to have really portrayed Iran as a nice mix of modern and traditional. So you've got the bazaars, but you've got the sort of almost metropolis feel. I recognize that when the car goes down into the tunnel, I recognize that. I think that's something I'd been down before. How important was it for you to portray Tehran and Iran in a light that is positive and that reflects your affection for it?
Well, that was the whole plan in the beginning, and because Iran is dear to me and the whole martial art community there, like the amount of respect I got from the martial artists in Iran just made me want to show more the bright side of Iran, the bright side of the culture, which I thought I did until we took it to the Iranian Film Festival. And I quote, they said, one of the reporters, why did you show Iran as a criminal capital hell? Something like that. I'm like, I'm in the front of the microphone trying to figure out, like, what? So they didn't get what I'm doing. They didn't like that at all. They didn't like me shining light on a part of Iran that nobody has seen before. So imagine me going against all the filmmakers in Iran, all the critics in Iran, and trying to justify that, hey guys, I think it would be nice if the outside of Iran they would see something else than like crappy houses and streets and cars that don't even run anymore. So they just didn't get it. They didn't get it. And but for me, it's same because everybody who sees it here, they're like, damn, we didn't know Iran looks like that. So many people thought I shot that in Dubai. No, it's in Iran. Trust me, it has some nice spots and people are nice. The culture is nice. But yeah, for me, chasing those big festivals and like announcements about like, oh, won the best drama here there. No, I'm all about people. I want that if there's somebody out there who hasn't been in Iran for a while, watches this movie, says, damn, Iran
Mhm,
is pretty cool. And I didn't have that when I was growing up. Do you
mhm,
know how many times I wanted to show Iranian movie to my Finnish friends?
mhm,
But what I'm gonna show something about depression and like drugs and woman rights and
mhm,
like all those like very like deep and sad stuff.
mhm,
But yeah, if I would have Layers of Lies 10, 15 years ago, I would gladly show to my Finnish friends and
mhm,
say, hey, check out, this is Iran. This is what's gonna happen. Like this is how it looks. But yeah, so for me capturing that, like showing different side of Iran was a big plan.
mhm.
For Iran, it didn't work, but for outside of Iran, it actually worked pretty well.
Well, I think if you didn't know it was filmed in Iran, unless you came across the Azadi Tower, we mentioned that earlier, which is the landmark of Tehran. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You would think that that was a typical sort of cosmopolitan or metropolitan city anywhere
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Europe or somewhere in the States. In fact, actually, I thought it looked a bit cleaner than some of those, but that's my personal opinion. But no, I think it definitely has a sense of place and time. You definitely know where you are. The culture comes through. I certainly think the soundtrack does help as well. You've used some Iranian percussion in the soundtrack, and I recognize straight away. But
Yeah,
the other,
we did lot of music and scoring work with Craig here in US and some Iranian musicians. We
Mhm.
really worked on the soundtrack to make it work.
Yeah, and it certainly did, and it amplified without falling into stereotypical trope. Because I think when anybody from outside Iran tries to make a film about Iran, um, tends to fall into what they think is Iranian, and it ends up just being like something out of a newspaper comic. um, but the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I've got some notes from when we spoke before, and when I was at the Fighting Spirit, listening to your Q&A, the police officer in it, played by, I think I've got the name right, Kamran Tafti.
Amran Tafti, yeah.
Yes, he played Saeed Rajabi. I thought he was great. He was very cool, very relaxed customer. And whilst the film was definitely centered on you, you allowed the other characters to shine. What was the direction you gave to Kamran and Jessica in terms of their performance? Did you have to give them specific instructions, or were they was their talent strong enough that they knew instantly what you wanted and they could just convey everything off from the page to the screen?
Yes, in terms of talent, they were both very talented actors. And sometimes when you're doing a low budget film,
Mm-hmm,
you need to do what I call technical acting,
mm-hmm,
where I know as a director what I want for this scene to work. So sometimes I give very specific guidance,
mm-hmm,
like going to Jessica and saying, like, Jessica, keep looking down, say your dialogue, give it a beat, and then look up. For me to get exactly what I want, because again, because it's a low budget, we don't have time to create all those emotion and moods and everything. Because even if you do, this is not like a Joker screenplay where they know like 1 year before what they're going to shoot and how they're going to shoot. This is the low budget, which means that on a day, I could come to you and say, Jessica, we're not doing that scene because the location is not working. They threw us out. We're going to do this scene instead. So what I try to do is give them confidence with technical directions. So when they know what they are doing and what I want, I think it gives them confidence to just deliver that as professional actors. And that was exactly what I did with Kamran as well. I tried to portray Kamran very cold, very like he's like a stone.
mm-hmm,
But the only reason I did that, they didn't let me make him a corrupt cop. So I
mm-hmm,
said, at least I'll give a feeling to the audience that he might be a corrupt cop. That there's nothing against that. So just giving these technical kind of advices. For example, Kamran comes to the crime scene. First take, I never usually say anything. I let the actors do what they do. So he starts greeting everybody. Hello, hello, like Iranians usually do. Salam, salam, salam.
mm-hmm,
And I told him that don't greet anybody. Just go straight to the corp. Don't look at
mm-hmm,
anybody. Just keep your focus on the corp. Just go to him, come down, open the zipper.
mm-hmm,
And just those technical kind of guidances, I think help the draft the characters.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to admit, Kamran certainly had my attention when he was on screen. He definitely has a sort of charisma and charm about him, and his delivery is the timing in his delivery of the dialogue, and as you say, the way he's just so cold and ambiguous in his expressions. I could actually he almost reminded me of Anil Kapoor, the Indian actor, who, and I could see actually Kamran maybe ending, if the show was still running, ending up in an episode of 24 as a prominent character. Maybe that might
Yeah,
have happened. Who
definitely.
knows? But you certainly draw on a lot of local talent. So this has been a real boost for Iran, I think, because the film's been well received in the festivals here, especially at Fighting Spirit when it screened last year at the London event.
Yeah.
I believe it did. And then again this year at the Birmingham event. Now, you told us during a Q&A that the film was due to be screened, and this is another step in the almost impossible journey of this film, that you had managed to secure a release into the cinema screens. The night before, it had been screened on television, or was going to be screened on television, national
Mm.
television, and then it was going to get screened on in 200 to 300 cinema screens. And I
Mm.
believe it was a religious group who had control of the screens that made that possible. So I guess my question is two parts. Remind us, please, how that came about? And what was the reception? I've been dying to know. How was the film received when it finally hit the cinema screens in Iran?
It's a very close group who get to the cinema. Even getting your film to screen in cinema in Iran is a miracle. No, like it's so hard. And then if you put our kind of spice into it, where I don't live there, I live here. We went there, did a movie that is action genre. Nobody has done action. So in a way, we got promised to have screenings over 200-300 cinemas. That was the promise. But again, because it's Iran and people, yeah, I'm gonna say it, people are jealous. People were so jealous that
Right.
how this kid comes and makes a movie with half of the money we make films and got his movie to the cinema. So it didn't took a long time before they start pulling it out of the cinemas. And I got messages from around like these cinema complexes, like apologizing to me, saying, I'm sorry, we got a message, we have to pull your film out. So I got totally ran over by Iranian films like Mafia, which
Right.
is, again, yeah, I was kind of expecting that would happen, but they are forgetting something, and I think that this is for future and for
Mm-hmm.
future message, and hopefully years from now I can actually come myself back to this podcast
Mm-hmm.
and listen to this. They forgot that for 10 years they tried to stop me for making this film, and I didn't stop. So they think that by them taking the film out of a couple of cinemas here and there will stop me going
Mm-hmm.
back making my film. They're way wrong. They're way wrong because I feel the passion I have in me, the dreams I have, the
Mm-hmm.
desire I have in me is much more powerful than a couple of cinemas here and there. Eventually, I'll get there. I promise you, eventually, I will be opening in over 300 cinemas in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
When that time comes, I don't know. But at the moment, the brief moment it was in cinema, I got one of the most amazing messages in social media.
Mm-hmm.
People who actually use this word saying that you're saving Iranian cinema. Thank you for bringing action. Thank you for being the father of martial art movies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for fighting to
Wow.
get the genre into the cinema
Mm-hmm.
Iran. Somebody, like, these are true stories because there
Mm-hmm.
was a cinema. There was this one guy in a city that was about 8 hours away from another city that was playing the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he drove 8 hours just to watch Layers of Lies, and said this was one of the most amazing moments in his life. He's a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I've been waiting for over 20 years for somebody to make action movie in Iran. And I drove for 8 hours to watch your movie, and I don't regret it because it was the single greatest film I ever seen. So when you get these
Mm-hmm.
messages, then the whole bureaucracy and the mafia thing and who gets to what cinemas, it doesn't matter. Even if one person gets touched by something I
Mm-hmm.
did, it makes me feel good. But
Yeah.
again, Layers of Lies was not for Iran. No, 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 no. Layers of Lies was for me, and to prove that yes, against all odds, and I mean all freaking odds, you can still make your dreams come true. The only key, and this is the only thing you need, you just don't give up. You just don't give up. And
Mm-hmm.
they tried so many times with the whole cinema release thing, with whole like not giving us even a chance. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm not here to wait for their chance. I'm creating my own chance,
Mm-hmm.
and by making that film, there's no stopping it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to go do the next one and next one until eventually yes, I'll get to those 300 cinemas.
Hmm.
But we are on
Okay,
the right path. Yeah.
say that again. You're on the right path, did you say?
Yes, we are
Yeah.
on the right path. The people that needed to see the film in Iran,
Hmm.
they the brief moment that it got a theatrical release in Iran, it got that.
Hmm.
And the possibilities for me to get new permits to shoot movies in Iran is much higher. Like as
Hmm.
soon as I know we got the script for Iranian action comedy, we'll just go and get the permits and shoot
Hmm.
it again. But this this is the industry. This is
Hmm.
and I knew this before I was going to Iran.
Hmm.
So none of this is like, oh my God, they did it. No pity. No pity. This is it.
Hmm.
This is the business they're in. This is the business I am in. I
Hmm.
know what I want and I know I'm gonna get it eventually, but I think that they don't know. I think they're just trying to slow me down. But yeah,
So a little disappointment, but not wholly unexpected, and certainly you're not winded by the experience. You're just going to pick yourself up and get the next project will be,
but
yeah.
here's the thing, Robert. Like I don't think I need to even pick myself up because if you think about it, there is a outside of Iran, there's over 50 awards. People like even this, even me talking to you. Why are we talking? Because I did something, right?
Hmm.
And because of that, we are here now talking about how that became the reality and what is going to happen next. So all of this, I feel it's distraction. I feel it's just unwanted energy. And I got my piece by presenting and doing something nobody has done before. And yes, I'm not saying I'm not disappointed. Of course, I'm disappointed, but there's nothing for me to say, okay, don't worry, Ramin, you're gonna do. No, no, we already did it. We already did it. It's already done. Now there is an action movie in Iran. Even if it got the theatrical release, a big one or a small one, I don't care. But it got made. And what does this mean is that I'm now one step closer to getting my next film done.
Hmm.
And I don't need to start from the beginning. So it's more like me just moving on, not even giving enough attention to
Hmm.
them. They really wanted to slow me down, but I don't think I don't think I'm gonna slow down. That they are not even willing to give a newcomer any chance,
Hmm.
any help. But again, I'm not asking for their help, but I'm just asking for them to be more open-minded
Mm.
because
Yeah, you've said that before.
yeah, just be open-minded
Hmm.
and let's work things out. And I am here to create new work possibilities for
Hmm.
Iranian filmmakers to do something they haven't done before. There's a lot of people who would love to make action films in Iran,
Hmm.
but if it's this hard, who the heck will go and do it? So just make it more accessible. That's what
Hmm.
I'm saying. Yeah, and even if they say, "Oh, why is he talking like that?" and it's not like good for Iran and whatnot, go watch Layers of Lies. That's the
Hmm.
best thing I could have done for Iran. Now, at least people now know how Tehran looks like.
Hmm.
At least people know we have nice places, nice culture, nice people, all of that. So in a way, how can they count me reliable on what I'm saying when I
Hmm.
do something where I can show the
Hmm.
beautiful side of Iran? All I'm saying that if the movie
Hmm.
got the awards and is playing all around the world, it would be nice for you guys to support it a little bit more.
Hmm.
So we get young people instead of watching some addict movies and type of depressing film, watch something that will inspire them. I remember when I was a kid and I went and watched Rambo, Rocky, I came out of the cinema
Hmm.
feeling invincible, feeling like I can do anything.
Hmm.
Then rather go watch a movie where you come out and you have a headache because so much problem was happening in the movie.
No, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So the movie's been made. You've screened it in festivals around the world. You've managed to get your foot in the door for it to be screened in Iran, which was so that's your next step. So that was one step. in terms of the next step, then, what does the future hold for Ramen in terms of more work or more promotion of Layers of Lies? Where's your career trajectory now headed?
Well, I would love to do a inspired story by Layers of Lies, a US version, which we are already working on right now. I'm working with a great scriptwriter on that one. And this one, there's no government, no film committee, nobody telling me how deep, how gritty, how dark, how corrupt, all of that. So it's going to have a beautiful story, still about redemption and revenge and all of
Mhm,
that, but it's going to be shot fully in US with US cast, hopefully. And yeah, that's one project in development. Then I
mhm,
have a project in Finland, an action comedy, first Finnish action comedy. Then I have a project in Iran which we are developing. It's also action comedy. And I have a very interesting project in Thailand, Bangkok, which is full on action. And that's a very exciting project we are working on with Chris Larson, and hopefully I'll get to co-direct that with Maddie Doe, who is a wonderful Asian genre director. And yeah, so those are the four projects I'm working on. And at the same time, I'm trying to connect with producers who could bring me on board to kind of reshape their script and create something unique for them. So basically hiring me as a director, as an action director, and sometimes actor. I'm doing some acting parts here and there, but keeping my like open-minded, and I really want to step into unknown,
mhm,
not known, unknown. I tried to make this film like imagining
mhm,
knowing so much, but end up not knowing anything. This time I'm ready to go to unknown and see what the universe will bring my way.
mhm. Well, it certainly sounds interesting. You've got a lot going on. I think the idea of a Layers of Lies US remake is interesting, but I think I don't know. I sort of hesitate because we have an audience now. It didn't used to be 30 odd years ago where everything had to be westernized. If an international film did really well, there had to be a Western counterpart, a remake. But we seem to be a bit more sophisticated now as an audience where we don't mind films in other languages with subtitles. Do you think there's still a taste for that kind of take on your own project?
Oh no, for example, the whole Thailand project is fully in Thai.
Hmm.
It's not
All
English,
right. Okay.
no English cast. It's all Thai.
Hmm. Yeah.
And which is very interesting for
Yeah.
a Finnish Iranian living in America, going to Thailand, shooting a full-on Thai film, but
Yeah.
like with gas action. I think that's a nice combination. Or
Hmm.
the Finland movie is fully in Finnish. The Iran movie is fully in Iran. The
Hmm.
American one, I'm doing that because I just want to show my potential to some
Hmm.
US producers to get me involved in bigger projects, and like finding good executive producers to produce my feature film. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of going different directions, seeing what will fit to my kind of a future career.
Hmm.
But yeah, Finland, Thailand, Middle East, America, I'm all over the place.
You mentioned also earlier that through the connections that you're making, you'd be happy, you would like to be hired as an actor, or you have been hired as an actor, or to come on board as a producer. As somebody who basically spearheads your own projects, you are the writer, you're director, you're star, and other roles, as we mentioned before. How do you manage that balance between the creative, if you like, the creative lead, and a sort of artist or performer for hire? I know Jackie Chan had to reconcile the two, because in Hong Kong he was the driving force behind the creativity. When he moved to America, he was an actor, he was a stuntman. So for you, how do you sort of reconcile the two very different worlds of creative lead and um, creative for hire?
I can switch my focus depending on the project I'm working on. So, for example, I have this one project, hopefully in Dubai, they're thinking of hiring me as a director, and it's a very hand-on-hand action film. So if that's the case, I'm just a director. It will actually take a lot of the pressure and a lot of other responsibilities away, which means I can focus now solely on creating something beautiful for people who trusted me with their money and time to bring me on board. But I wouldn't say necessarily I would love to do all of those things. I did it for Layers of Lies because that was the only way for me to make the film.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the lower budget films, we have to always remember, and especially with action film, there's a lot of ego involved. There's a lot of ego. The actors, the producers, the martial artists, the stunt people. I've done this, I've done that. There's so much ego. And because of that, I had to wear so many hats to just calm down the ego and try to help people so they can help me, trying to figure out how you can work together. But again, depending on a project and what I'm there to do, I can shift my focus very easily. And I have this work mode, which means once I am creating, I am in a different universe. I see the scene. I can already, like, if I go to the location, I can already see how it will look. And usually the end result is 99% accurate because I already felt it once. I already visualized it once. And again, if it's the acting, then I visualize and create the character and then give my best for the people who trusted me to bring on board. If it's directing, I will try to go as close as their vision and then some, like, mix it up together and create something for the grand finale. But again, depending on the project, I can either wear many hats or only a couple of hats, but it doesn't change the end product. It's going to always be exactly what I envisioned it, no matter what.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and I think if that does when that does happen, then I think that's quite a healthy thing. So I just want to wrap then with one question, which is going to seem a bit moot, because it's about asking you about what you think it takes to succeed in independent film, which is going through quite challenging times at the moment. But I think the overall message throughout this interview has been: do not give up, persevere. There will be barriers put in front of you. There will be challenges that will present themselves, and that you just have to find a way through. Because you are quite a tenacious person, and you've persevered through so much. So aside from all that,
Mm.
what do you feel it takes to succeed in independent film? What advice would you give to other people who are already looking for that first step on the up the ladder?
Mm. So I think basically success for a lot of people mean different thing. And for a long time, it took me 10 years to figure out that the succeed I thought it's a succeed is not, is just something that the universe, the matrix, I wouldn't say universe, I would say matrix, the program, or whatever you want to call it. They say success is this. So once you get this, that's success. Once you get this price, that's success. Once your movie sells 100 million, that's success. But here's the thing. Success is something you create for yourself in your mind, not dependent on anybody else or anything that anybody else has done before. So make sure for you, success is something that is not from outside, but it's something from inside. Exhibit A, I can go like this. Oh, Layers of Lies in Iran, they took it out of the cinema. It wasn't success. I wasn't successful. Or I can shift my energy. And for me, success is I did something nobody has done before in Iran. And that's it. That's my success. And that's just success for that particular project. Now we go to the next success. My next success would be if I can create a US version or do a Thai movie fully in Thai language, or go back to Iran and shoot an action comedy. Just doing that is success. Just moving forward towards that is success. If you're a filmmaker, if you're just starting, don't think of success something that is somewhere out there and you have to do all these things to get there. No, success can be that you decide this weekend to shoot a short film and you do it and submit it to a couple of festivals, have a podcast, talk with somebody. That's success because you are doing something. Doing something and being successful is just like, you just have to realize that even the smallest thing you do in your life can be successful if you feel like that. If I go a 3-hour hiking, for me, that's success. I did something that I created in my mind when I woke up this morning, and by the time I was done, I was successful. So let's stop chasing the success and let's start celebrating every small success we have. If you're a new filmmaker, you want to make a short film, find a good writer, you succeed. That's a success. You're one step closer to your kind of a next project or next vision or dream. So I think not separating success so much from ourselves and being in a constant success mood and environment and energy can actually make you feel successful every day, and you don't need to chase it. And I'm saying this because I freaking chased that success for 10 years. So why chase something when you can be successful day by day? And I have this code I do. I say I play day by day to win every day. So I play it. I go with it. I let the universe like speak to me. I want to go to unknown. We don't need to know everything. We don't need to know all of our step. All we need to know is to feel gratitude, to feel good, to feel successful. So nothing big. Stop chasing something big in order to be successful. Anything in your life, even today, can be sign of success if you choose to. So I think that, yeah.
So define your own success. Don't let other people define it for you, or society, if you like, and have the mindset to basically get things done and move it along. Then I suppose once opportunities present themselves, you're in that zone, if you like, to go in and grab those opportunities to make the things you want.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, here's the key. If you're not dependent on an outside source or thing or event or film or whatever to feel successful or feel good, there's also one thing, that you cannot be reliable of something from outside to come to you, or opportunity, or you are the sole creator of whatever you desire. And I'm telling this with the most kind of because I did it for 10 years. I had a vision, I had a dream, I manifested it. I had the creation of the first ever Finnish Iranian action movie. And look where we are, just because I created it. Nobody came outside of me and say, hey, let's go to Iran, let's make a movie. No, remember, if you're not reliable of all these things to be successful or feel good or have a nice vibration, you're not also dependent on outside world to create something for you. Start creating something today. You don't need to physically do it. You don't need to create a short film or feature film or something to feel that. You can already create it here, as I did it here, and now we can see it, and now we are talking about it. So it all starts from here, you know?
Thank you for joining us on Cine Bijou, where we shine a spotlight on independent films and the creative minds behind them who continuously push the boundaries of storytelling. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like or follow button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media. Why not follow us on Threads, Instagram, YouTube and Facebook for all the latest news, insights and views from the world of independent film. We also love hearing from you, our listeners and followers, so why not drop us a comment or maybe even send us a message. Until next time, keep listening, keep supporting, and help us keep the indie spirit alive.